I'm going to be ranking the top 100 cards right now in NBA 2K23. My team, we have a tier list here ranking from S that goes all the way down to F tier, and I have the top 100 cards on this singular tier list, and I'll be going through every single card and telling you guys where I do think they rank from S tier all the way down to F. So let me know in the comment section down below, who do you guys think are the best cards right now in Season 6, and let me know what you guys would change about my tier list. So top 100 cards, first guy here is going to be Dark Matter Anthony Davis. There's a lot of great cards on this list, so even though I'm going to put a guy like AD in C tier, I think that probably is fair for AD. Maybe he goes up to B tier later in the video, but like if you're in B tier, you're a top level card at your position. I think Anthony Davis, because of his jump shot still being on quick timing and having that slow beta release, I think he's got to be in C tier. Still a very decent power forward in the game. He's a tad bit undersized, only being 6'10", and if you're going to be a little bit undersized, you want to have a super quick jump shot, and that's just not what Anthony Davis has. So I think for now, before he gets an Evo, which he most likely will in the Grizzlies series, or just in the playoffs if the Lakers do advance, I would assume he does get his jump shot put to very quick timing, or maybe even a new jump shot as well. But for now, I think Anthony Davis gonna be in that C tier category. Anthony Edwards as the Dark Matter version after his Evo, I think is pretty solid of a card. Is it crazy to say C tier for Ant? I think he's actually very underrated at that shooting guard position. By no means is he a top shooting guard in the game, but he's like very solid. Like that jump shot is not that bad. He's got great dribble sigs. He's got a good leaner. I think Anthony Edwards is probably in that C tier category. Mo Bamba is B. I know that might sound crazy to say, but this pink diamond Mo Bamba, especially the hero version, is so nice at the center position. He's 7 foot, 7'10" wingspan. He's an elite defender, 96 block, 95 interior defense, great player model, and then does have a solid jump shot. He's super quick with 92 speed, 92 acceleration. I think Mo Bamba probably somewhere in that B tier category alongside Mike Bantam. I think Bantam is still a great small forward. He's definitely still usable in game. I mean, anybody in B tier and above, like I mentioned, is still great cards at their position, and even C tier. Like, I'm not saying Ant or Anthony Davis are necessarily bad cards. I just do think there's going to be guys above them in the B and A and S tier category. Talking about maybe our first S tier card is going to be the Galaxy Opal AK. Is he like a top 12 to 15 card? Because that's usually what I do with S tier for a top 100 card video, like a tier list. Do I go top 12, 15? I think he probably is. I'm gonna go AK and S tier for now. I'll have to see if I do want to move him up or down, or either keep him in S or move him down to A tier. Scotty Barnes, I think, is probably, I think C. There's just so many good point guards in the game. It's hard to put Scotty Barnes in B tier. Maybe he does go up there. I think he's still super elite at that point guard position. It's just like a card like Elgin Baylor, I think is probably slightly better. I'm gonna go Scotty in B tier. I think a lot of these point guards are just gonna be in B tier. Guys like Elgin Baylor, Scotty Barnes, Ben Simmons, I think they all got to go in B tier. They're very similar point guards at this stage of my team. Ben Simmons, great defender, 6'11", still has that super good size. Elgin Baylor's got such a good jump shot, one of my favorite point guard releases in the game. And then Scotty Barnes is just such an athletic defender, good at going to the basket, and does have very solid dribble sig. So I think these 3 point guards gotta be in that B tier category. Another B tier card I think is going to be Jonathan Bender. He might honestly go up to A tier just because of how tall you need your small forward to be. But I do think for now, I'm gonna keep him in B tier. I think he's a really good 7 foot small forward, has a great jump shot and very solid dribble sigs. Big Z, I think, is easily an A tier. Is he an S tier card? I'm not 100% sure. I think I'm gonna put him in S tier for now as well. I do want to put Bill Russell in A tier though, because I do think Big Z and AK are slightly better at that small forward position. I mean, AK is such a well-rounded card. I think he's just Bill Russell with better offense. And then Big Z, I mean, he's 7'3" at the small forward and shooting guard position. It's really hard to not have that card in S tier just for how overpowered and glitchy he is. I think he's probably got to be S tier as well. Billy Knight, same tier as Mike Bantam, really good small forwards and shooting guards in the game, especially when they're duo together. If you have Billy Knight and Mike Bantam on the squad together, they're going to be super well upgraded. So I think they're both going to be in B tier, at least for now. Boogie Cousins, I think DeMarcus probably C tier. Not a bad card by any means. I think he's on that same level as Anthony Davis. I'm just not sure if he's in that B tier category. Devin Booker, I think, is probably high B tier or low A tier. I want to go B for now. There's just so many great point guards in the game. It's hard to put a card like Devin Booker higher than B when there's just going to be most likely 10 other point guards that I do think are slightly better than him. Chris Bosh, I'm gonna go C tier. I might be ranking cards a little bit too high. I might have to start dropping some cards lower because we still got D and F tier completely wide open. So I might have to move my tier list and move my cards around here in a second. But for now, I think Chris Bosh is going to be in that C tier category. I do think Cade is probably high B or low A tier. I think he's the 10th best point guard in the game. I think Devin Booker's probably number 11. So I think they kind of have to be on the same tier. They either both go in A tier for me or they both stay in that B tier category. I mean, Devin Booker's 6'8" at the 1, really, or Cade Cunningham 6'8" at the 1, 7'1" wingspan, amazing to go into the basket and does play very solid defense in game. Cameron Johnson I think is C. Or maybe do I go D tier? He's not a bad card though. That's why I don't know if I want to go D, because honestly, Cam Johnson after the Evo, like after he goes up to a Galaxy Opal, he's a very solid small forward. He's 6'8", 6'10" wingspan, solid all around stats, great dribble sigs, good jump shot. I think you gotta go honestly C tier. I might have to move some cards down because I feel like we're gonna have way too many cards in the B and C tier category. Kevin Garnett easily in the top 12 to 15 cards in the game. I think he's so nice at the small forward position. I think he's the new best small forward and is just an upgraded version of Dark Matter Bill Russell. I think Vince Carter is probably C tier. I think he's just that one step below a Billy Knight at the shooting guard spot, and I think he's probably somewhere comfortably in that C tier category. Claxton I think is also C, right? I mean, Claxton after the Evo is such a good defensive big. I mean, if you take a look at his stats and his badges, I clicked on the wrong one. But yeah, after he goes to a Galaxy Opal, he's 6'11" at the power forward or center position, 7'2" wingspan, elite defender, you know, has some more Hall of Fame defensive badges upgraded. He gets his jump shot put to very quick timing. I think he's probably got to be C tier. I think he's on the same level as an Anthony Davis. Clyde Drexler, I think, is also C tier. Not the biggest fan of Clyde's jump shot. I think all around is a very solid card. He's great at going to the basket. Still gets those crazy good dunking animations, but I do think he's probably going to be in C tier. Dave Cowens, I wanted to throw on this list. I know basically nobody has him besides probably less than 5 people, but he still is a card available right now in the game, and I think he's on that same level as a Bill Russell at the small forward position. Ousmane Dieng, I think, is once again, I would say high B tier. I do like him a little bit more than Cade and Devin Booker. I just don't know if he's in that A tier category. Maybe he does get moved up later in the video. He's a great 6'10" point guard card, and I think all around is probably at least B tier, maybe even A. I think Dikembe Mutombo, easy A tier card, possibly even in the S tier category. I'm gonna go A tier for now because I'm not 100% sure if I want to go S tier yet, so I'm gonna keep Dikembe Mutombo in the A tier category for now. Dino Raja, I think, is probably C. I think he's on that DeMarcus Cousins level, Claxton, Chris Bosh level at the power forward position. I think all of these guys got to be in C tier. Our first D or F tier card is going to be Diop. I think he's most likely going to be D. I think I'm gonna go him in D tier. I mean, he's still a very solid center card. I'm not saying he's bad by any means. He's still a top 100 card in the game. I just think there's so many better new options at the center position. They've actually been giving us some really good options at the 5, so I think Diop has to go in that D tier category. D-Rob, I think, is on the same tier as Dikembe. Both great dark matter bigs. I think they're both going to be in A tier. Maybe Dikembe or D-Rob goes up to S tier later in the video. Same thing with Dwight Howard. I think is another amazing power forward. Plays really good defense, has great defensive animations, grabs rebounds, and I think his jump shot is very underrated at the power forward spot. Eddie Jones, I think, is C. I think he's a solid card. I think he's on that Clyde Drexler, Vince Carter level at the shooting guard position. I would say Taco Fall is easily S tier, even though he's super overpowered, and I would say unfair. Like, him and Big Z probably shouldn't be in the game at this stage of my team. Like, having a 7'6" power forward and a 7'3" shooting guard, I feel like is probably just a little bit too early on for this stage of my team, but that's a whole nother debate and just topic for a different video. But I do think Taco Fall easily going to be in the S tier category. Danny Ferry, I think, is probably high B. He's a really good small forward. Is he better than Jonathan Bender? I think both those guys are probably top of B tier alongside Cade and Devin Booker. I mean, De'Aaron Fox, I think, is D tier. I mean, I just don't know if he's definitely not on the level of like the Ousmane Diengs, the Devin Bookers, the Scotty Barnes, the Ben Simmons. And I think as a card, he's probably not as good as like anybody in C tier in my eyes. I think Rudy Gay, I think he also falls down to D tier. I would take, Cam Johnson over Rudy Gay at the small forward position. I think he's high D tier. I do like him probably more than a Diop card and a De'Aaron Fox. So I think he's going to be in D tier. I think for now, maybe he does get moved up or down. I think George Gerving is on that Clyde Drexler, Vince Carter level. I mean, for a collector level dark matter, he's really not that good. Like, I would say he's very underwhelming for how many cards you do have to collect. Like, he's 6'7" at the 2, that's perfectly fine. He's got solid stats and badges, but when you go to his animation screen, he doesn't have a good escape, like nothing crazy. The Kobe escape's decent, but it's not the John Wall, it's not the Curry, it's not the Trae Young escape. And then he doesn't have a good size up. His jump shot's pretty mediocre. Like, his animations just really aren't that great, but I still think he's probably in C tier. Dark Matter LeBron, I think you gotta go, is he B or is he C? Because I'm not 100% sure with LeBron. I think he's still a very nice small forward in the game. He still plays great defense, good at driving to the basket. I'm gonna throw LeBron in B tier. I know that might be a little bit crazy to say. I think he's still a very solid small forward, even with his jump shot being very questionable. Gary Payton, I think he's going D tier. I think he's maybe a little bit better than De'Aaron Fox. They're both just super undersized for their positions. Dark Matter Giannis, I think, is also, I would say Giannis is either B tier or high C. I'm gonna go high C tier for now. I think LeBron is still a little bit better at his position. I think LeBron and Mike Bantam got to be on the same tier in my eyes, both in that B tier category. Hideo Turkoglu, easy A tier. I think he honestly could be S. He's such an elite point guard, being 6'10" with one of the best jump shots in the game. I mean, just that alone, 6'10" at point guard, one of the best point guard releases. I mean, just that in itself probably gets you into B tier. And then he's also got great dribble sigs with the Steph Curry escape, which means he can Curry slide. He's got that Kyle Lowry size up, which is super overpowered. He's got great stats and badges. I mean, I think Hideo Turkoglu, especially the hero version, has got to be somewhere in that A tier category. Next card here is going to be Grant Hill. I would say C tier. A very solid all-around card. Nothing great about him, nothing bad. I would say Iguodala probably C tier. I think he's that one step below Scotty Barnes, Ben Simmons, Ousmane Dieng. He's still a very nice point guard in the game and a very solid all-around card, especially for his price tag. I just don't know if I can put him in B tier. Jonathan Isaac, I think, is probably B. I think he's on that Mike Bantam, LeBron type of level at the small forward position. Maybe a little bit worse than Jonathan Bender and Danny Ferry, but I think all those guys got to be in the B tier category. Jalen Williams, I mean, compared to the cards on this list, I think he's probably got to go D tier. He's not a bad budget card by any means. I just think compared to like Vince Carter, Eddie Jones, Clyde Drexler, those level of shooting guards, I think he's probably in D tier. Jamal Murray also going to be in that D tier category in my eyes. Kind of on the same level as De'Aaron Fox. They didn't give him a new jump shot, and his release is still very slow. Even though it's on very quick timing, it's still a pretty slow jump shot on my eyes. So I think Jamal Murray going to be in that D tier category. Antoine Jamison, I might go B tier. I think I like him more than a Vince Carter. Or maybe do I go B tier? I think he's kind of on that same level as Vince and like Clyde. I think I'm gonna go, I like him more than Clyde though. I think he's such a nice shooting guard. I like him more than Eddie Jones and Clyde. I'm gonna go low B tier for Antoine Jamison. I think he's a very underrated card currently in my team. Jeff Green, I would say, is probably D. A very nice small forward, especially for his budget price. I would definitely take Cameron Johnson and some other small forwards in maybe B tier. I would probably take them over Jeff Green, so I think he's probably going to be in D tier. Jimmy Butler, I would say, is going to be in that A tier category. I think him and Cade, him and Devin Booker is all a very close debate, but I do think Jimmy Butler is a couple spots above those guys on the point guard list, and I do think his defense is still super elite. He's great at going to the basket and still one of the top probably 5 to 6, 7 point guards in the game. Alongside him in A tier, I kind of want to go Joe Ingles, but I think I'm gonna go Ousmane Dieng. I think these guys are all super close to being in the A tier category and might get moved up later in the video. I think all of these guys, ranging from Devin Booker to Danny Ferry, like these top 6 guys could all be in the A tier category, but for now I do want to keep him in B tier. Nikola Jokic, I think possibly could be the best card in my team, especially his hero version. Just his overpowerness at the point guard position, being 6'11" at the 1 was such a good jump shot. He's got a great player model. He's got perfect stats and badges. He's got great dribble sigs for a 6'11" card. He's got the best dunk packages. I mean, he's just a perfect complete card at the point guard spot that I really don't see us getting a better point guard in the game for a while. Like, I don't think we're gonna get a better card until we get another Ben Simmons who's 6'11" at the 1, can match Jokic's height, and then also maybe if they give him a new jump shot and good dribble sigs. The only point guard I can see being better than Jokic for a while is a new dark matter Ben Simmons, because he can match that height being 6'11". The other Jokic I think is probably C tier. I mean, he's a solid power forward in the game. I would say on that Dino and DeMarcus Cousins level at the power forward spot. It's just like him at power forward, I think is probably C tier. Cat, I think, is probably high D. I just really don't like this card. I did want to put him on this list because I know a lot of people do like Cat and probably still run him at their power forward position or center. I just think he's probably going to be D tier. Not necessarily a bad card. I just don't think you can really put him higher than D tier. Kawhi Leonard, I would say, is probably C. Yeah, I would say he's probably somewhere in that mid C tier level. I think he's just like a better Grant Hill with a jump shot. Like I think he's Grant Hill with better dribble sigs and very similar cards in a sense. So I do think Kawhi Leonard probably going to be in that C tier category. KD, I think, is also high C tier. I mean, his jump shot is growing on me a little bit. If you know how to use the card, he can be super good on the offensive end. I think for me personally, though, I would take cards like, you know, at the small forward position, I would take LeBron over him, Mike Bantam, Jonathan Isaac, Jonathan Bender, Danny Ferry. I just think are slightly better at that small forward position. Dark Matter Hakeem, I think he fits perfectly in A tier alongside D-Rob and Dikembe and Dwight Howard. I think all four of those big men are maybe on the cusp of A tier, or sorry, on the cusp of S tier, but I do think belong in A tier for now and possibly do get moved up to S tier later in the video. Dark Matter Cream, I think it's also on that level. I might move Dikembe into S tier because I think out of the big men so far in A tier, I think Dikembe is easily the best between the Dwight, the Hakeem, the D-Rob, and Kareem. So I think these guys are going to stay in A tier for now, and then I'm going to go Dikembe in S tier. I just think his shot blocking super good and all around a great center card. I think Kevin Garnett for me is probably low B tier. Like he's still a very good power forward in the game. He's still got a great jump shot. He's just definitely not his dark matter level at the shooting guard or small forward position. So I do think KG probably going to be in B tier. Kobe I think is on the Clyde Drexler level. I think he's a little bit worse than like a Kevin Durant as a card, but yeah, I think he's on like the Clyde, Eddie Jones, Vince Carter type of level at the shooting guard spot. Still can get a job done, really good at going to the basket, and does play solid defense. I think Dark Matter Kristaps easily going to be in the S tier category. I think him and Dikembe are basically on the same level, and both deserve to be in that S tier category. Kyle Kuzma, surprisingly enough, I think is actually A tier. I think he's a very underrated small forward. I would take him over Danny Ferry and Jonathan Bender. I think he's got one of the best jump shots in the game. It's super quick and very easy to green. He's got great dribble saves, good player model, great defense. I mean, the card is just super well rounded at that small forward position. Brook Lopez, I think he's going to be somewhere in B tier. I think he honestly could be A. I think he's a very underrated big in the game. I know it's probably because he's kind of expensive and very rare, and a lot of people probably don't have this card, but I think he's such a good center. He's 7'1" with a 7'5" wingspan, great player model on the card. He's got really good strength, really good defensive stats. His jump shot is absolutely money on very quick timing. I just think he's a very solid big man card. I think he's probably going to be at least in B tier, maybe even that A tier category. Luke Walton, I think, is probably also B tier on that Scotty Barnes, Ben Simmons, you know, that type of level at the point guard position. I think he's probably going to be somewhere in B tier. Magic Johnson, I just do not like this card. I think his jump shot is super slow and very baited. He feels sluggish with the ball in his hands. His defense is solid, but nothing crazy. I know some people probably would put Magic in B tier, but the more that I've seen this card in game, and just all the new point guards we're getting, I think he's going to drop down to C tier. Still a very usable point guard in game and still a very elite point guard. I just think there's going to be a ton better options in that B tier category. LaMelo Ball, I think, is also B tier on the same level as a Ben Simmons, a Luke Walton. He's still got such a good jump shot. He just moves a little bit sluggish with the ball in his hands, but I still think you got to throw him in B tier. I mean, these next two guys easily got to be S tier. Yao Ming, number one, got to be S. Probably still the best card in my team. Him, Jokic, and maybe a couple other guys can be considered for the best card, but he's still 7'6" at the 5. Great jump shot and really good all-around defense. And then the hero MJ, I think he's also got to go in S tier. I think right now he's the second best point guard in the game behind Nikola Jokic. There's other cards like Ron Artest and Hedo Turkoglu that we did talk about that I'll mention a little bit more once we get to Ron Artest and Penny Hardaway, but I do think for now, MJ probably going to be in the S tier category. Now the Elemental MJ, I think, is probably C tier. I mean, he's just not a great point guard card. Like, I would definitely take maybe even Iguodala over him. I would definitely take Magic. Would I take Magic? I don't even know, but I would definitely take everybody in B tier over the Dark Matter MJ. So I think he's actually going to be in that C tier category. Evan Mobley, I think, is also C tier. A very baited jump shot, but I still think his defense is super valuable. Same thing with Moses Malone. I think he's on that same tier as Anthony Davis, Chris Bosh. I think all these three power forwards are very, very similar. Greg Oden, I kind of also want to go C tier. He's got a really good player model. He plays very good defense. I might have to move some cards down because we just got so many names in C tier, but I think they all deserve to be in the C tier category. Oscar Robertson, do I go C tier as well? Like, I think he's a little bit better than Gary Payton, De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray. I think he's slightly better than those guys because of his jump shot. So I think for me, Oscar going to be in C tier. Penny Hardaway, easy A tier. I think he's a very underrated point guard. Like, I've seen some people not even have him in their top 10 point guards in the game. I think he's possibly top 5, kind of around that Jimmy Butler level, Hedo Turkoglu level. Like, I think he's just a better Cade Cunningham, and he feels a lot faster with the ball in his hands compared to a card like Cade. So I like him getting downhill a lot more and finishing at the rim. So I do think Penny Hardaway for me is going to be in that A tier category. Purvis Ellison, I think he's high B. I think he's on that Jonathan Bender, Danny Ferry level. I would take Kuzma slightly over him. I think that's the only small forward. Yeah, I would take Kuzma and Bill Russell and Dave Cowens over him at the small forward position. Very nice at the 3, though. I still think he's got a great jump shot, really good defense. I think he's probably just going to be in that B tier category. Pete Maravich, he's a little bit undersized. I still probably would throw him C tier just because of his 3 hunting ability. Still a great offensive PG. Peter Gudmundsson, I think is A. Honestly, I think Peter's such an elite center in my team. I think he's probably lower A tier. I think he's slightly better than Brook Lopez. He's got a great jump shot, really good defense. I think he's probably somewhere in that low A tier category. Paul George, I mean, just another C tier card. Like, I would say everybody in C tier, especially for their price, is probably just a mid card. Like PG, KD, Anthony Davis, you know, MJ, the elemental one, Kawhi. They're not bad cards. Kobe, they're not bad cards. They're just super overpriced and kind of mid for their position. So I think a lot of those guys going to be in C tier, are still very usable cards, just not going to be worth their price tag. Scottie Pippen, easy B tier. I think he's on the same level as like a Mike Bantam, a Jonathan Isaac, a LeBron James. Still a very good defensive small forward. That is still one of the best on-ball defenders in the game. Poku, I think is going to go C tier. I mean, he's I might go Poku D. I'm gonna go Poku C. I think he's still 7 foot at the 3 and does have a very solid jump shot. Austin Reeves, I think he's the same level as Pete Maravich. Underrated point guard in the game. I think he's probably C tier though, a very mid card overall. Glenn Rice, I think you got to go B tier. A very nice shooting guard, great on the offensive end, and does have a very good jump shot. Ricky Davis, I kind of want to go A tier for Ricky. I think I'm gonna go A tier. I think I really like Ricky Davis. He's got such a good release. I feel like it's super easy to green. I think honestly for me, he's gonna be in the A tier category. RJ Barrett, I almost want to go B tier, man. I love this RJ Barrett card. I'm not gonna gas it too much. I'm gonna go C tier. I think he might even be better than like a Kobe or Clyde, you know, these type of shooting guards like a Vince Carter, but I'm gonna keep RJ Barrett in the C tier category for now. Dark Matter Ron Artest, he honestly might be an S tier card. I think I'm gonna go high A tier for now because we already got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in S tier. So I just want to keep these guys here for now. But yeah, Ron Artest, probably one of the best, if not the best card in A tier. I think he's very underrated at the point guard position compared to his price to like a KG or Jokic. I think he's super good value compared to those other top point guards in the game. Derrick Rose, I mean, he's just undersized. He's 6'3" at the 1. He's just going to be on the same level as a De'Aaron Fox. I would say Rudy Fernandez is probably C tier. I would say another solid point guard in the game, just going to be nothing too crazy. Rui Hachimura, I think, is probably high C tier. I think he's a very solid small forward, maybe even better than like a Kevin Durant. I think he's got a great jump shot and plays very solid defense. Sabonis for me is B tier. I know a lot of people would put him A. I just do not like the card's jump shot at all. I would say him and Brook Lopez is very comparable. I also am going to move Peter Gudmundsson down to B tier. I think these three centers are all very, very similar. Is this Steve Smith? No, it's Malik Sealy. I would probably go C tier for Malik. I really don't think he's that great of a card. His jump shot's super questionable. I do think he's probably going to be in C tier. Sengun, another B tier point guard, 6'10" at the 1, does have a decent jump shot, good dribble sigs, and is a very solid defender. I think he's still like a better Ben Simmons, but he's going to be super helpful being 6'10" at the point guard position. I think Shaq is C tier. I mean, once again, just a mid jump shot, plays good defense, super quick on the court, just can't really shoot threes at a very high level. I think Shaun Livingston is probably, I would say A. I think he's a little bit worse than a Jimmy Butler and a Penny Hardaway, but I do think he's slightly better than like a Cade and a Devin Booker. Next card here is going to be Steve Smith, easy S tier in my eyes. I mean, Steve Smith is an absolute dog at the shooting guard spot. If you guys don't have him, I don't have him either. I feel bad for both of us because he's just such a fun card to be using and all around one of the best shooting guards and just one of the best cards in my team. Terry Dischinger also got to go in that S tier category. I mean, one of the best 2 guards, if not the best 2 guards in the game, and still could be considered a top 3, maybe even the best card in my team. Tim Thomas, I feel like is B tier. Really good offensive small forward. Is he better than a Purvis Ellison, a Danny Ferry? I would say most likely not. So I do think he's probably going to be in B tier. Robert Williams, I would say is C. a very good defensive small forward. I just don't know how elite he's going to be on the offensive end. Tracy McGrady, easy S tier, no debate with T-Mac. I think he could still be considered the best card in my team, but I do think he's got to go easy S tier. And I'm just going to kind of rapid fire these last couple cards. Trae Young, F tier. Dwayne Wade, I'm gonna go D tier. Franz Wagner, I'm gonna go D tier. Will Chamberlain, I'm gonna go B. I think still because of his wingspan, his height, his defense. I think he does bring some sort of defense to the table, so I think he's gonna be in B tier. Alongside James Worthy, I think Worthy's on that same level as a Mike Bantam, a Jonathan Isaac, a LeBron at that small forward position. And then I do think Lonzo is going to be in C tier. Just his release is super baited in my eyes. So now talking about S tier, how many cards do I have in S? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So I have 12 cards in S tier. I think I'm gonna move Ron Artest to make that 13. I'm not really, too concerned about how many cards I do have in S tier, but I do think Ron Artest is a decent amount better than the guys in A. I'm also probably gonna move like Peter Gudmundsson, Brooke Lopez, Sabonis, Purvis Ellison. I'm gonna move Cade, I think, also up into the A tier category. I think I'm gonna move Joe Ingles, Ousmane Dieng, just trying to balance out the tier list a little bit more. I think all these guys deserve to be in A tier, and I think that does balance out the tier list a tad bit more. Maybe I go Jonathan Bender in A tier as well, just because he's still 7 foot at the 3. And then talking about like my C and D tier, I mean, I kind of want to have more cards than just one guy in F tier. But like, I don't know, like I think Trae Young's so much worse than all these cards in D tier. I don't really want to put any of them on his level. So I'm gonna keep Trae Young as the only card in F. You guys can let me know maybe some cards you guys move down to F tier or D tier. I don't know. I feel like all these cards in C tier and D tier are just very close to each other. Like I can't really move anybody down from D into the F tier category. Like maybe Derrick Rose, but then you also got to move like De'Aaron Fox down, and then also Jamal Murray, maybe even maybe Gary Payton. But I'm gonna leave him in D tier. I'm just gonna scroll through my tiers so you guys can pause the video and you guys can see where all the cards are ranked. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like if you guys have any questions of why I have a certain card ranked where and all the type of stuff, just let me know in the comment section down below. If I did miss a player, maybe, because it's hard to get every single card in the game, but these in my opinion are the top 100 cards in my team, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.